Resident Evil Zero had everything going for it: an eerie atmosphere, a bold new gameplay system, and a chance to uncover the origins of horror itself. But behind this chilling music and shadowy corridors, cracks begin to show. Continuity slips, story beats stumble, and what could have been a defining prequel ends up lost in its own ambition. Still, it's something that's unforgettable about it. Maybe, just maybe, it's worth a second look. Before the Spencer Mansion, before Raccoon City fell, there was a train, a storm, and a secret that should never have been uncovered. Resident Evil Zero doesn't get talked about as much as its siblings. Maybe that's just because it sits in this kind of strange place. Not quite a classic, not quite a failure, just there, stranded in time. But go back and you'll find a game that's dripping with tension. The atmosphere is creepy. Rain hammers on the train windows, eerie lighting, low growls echoing down the empty corridors. Capcom knew how to build unease, and Zero leans into it with confidence. You feel isolated, watched, vulnerable. I've just spent the last month replaying this game. Yeah, I know, it's taken me a while, but being a husband, father, and having a full-time job, really don't get as much game time as I would like these days. We're going back to Resident Evil 2, and you're going to find a game that is legitimately creepy. Capcom knew how to build unease, and Zero leans into it with confidence. It is almost like playing the original all over again. There's a buddy system this time around with Rebecca and Billy. This time you get to play as two characters. You can switch to them on the fly, leave them wherever you want to, or have them following you around. There's no item box, no magic inventory warp, just two people stuck in a nightmare relying on each other. It's novel, and it forces you to think differently. In one respect, it doubles your inventory slots, but it also means that you've got double the inventory management. And without the magic box, you get to leave any item in any place, something I'd noticed as a real pain that you can't do in other games. Like you've forgotten how to put something on the floor. Chris is really needing a health pack, but refuses to pick it up because he's carrying too much stuff. However, it does have its drawbacks. Leave the wrong weapon with the wrong character, a hook shot in the main hall, which always seems to be a dumping ground, which is now on the other side of the map, and you're going to regret it. The system is risky and sometimes clunky, but it does add tension, and yet, for all its ambition, Resident Evil Zero fumbles where it counts the most: the story. This was supposed to answer questions, show us the fall of Bravo Team, give us more context around Umbrella's twisted experiments. Instead, we got plot holes, continuity breaking decisions, so many monkeys, and one of the most bizarre villains in the series, leech controlling opera singing man who sings to the sky like he's in a different franchise altogether. For a game that was supposed to fill in the blanks, it ends up creating more questions than it answers. Let's start with the most obvious one: Rebecca Chambers. She's a rookie member of the STAR's Bravo team, thrown into a terrifying situation with Billy Cohen, an ex-fugitive Marine. They survive a train derailing, zombie-infested research centres, mutant leech swarms, lots of monkeys, and multiple encounters with Umbrella's twisted science. He even defeats James Marcus, one of Umbrella's founding members, or at least his leech-controlled doppelganger. And then she walks into the Spencer Mansion in Resident Evil 1 like it's her first horror movie.
He seems to have been bitten by a poisonous snake, but the size of the bite mark is huge. As soon as Richard gets better, we'll come after you.
Rebecca, you okay with a gun?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to continue my investigation.
Be careful. Most of the medical supplies here are from Umbrella.
Umbrella?
Don't you know? They're only the biggest taxpayers around here. They make most of these medicines right here. Homegrown in Raccoon City. But there's not much left.
No mention of Billy, no indication that she's already been through hell, no scars, no emotion otherwise, like Zero never happened. That's just not an oversight, it's a full-on retcon problem. If Zero is canon, Rebecca's behaviour in the original Resident Evil doesn't make sense. She should have been hardened, shaken, or at the very least have some sense of what Umbrella's capable of. But the two games just never connect the dots. Midway through the game, you're thrown into a boss fight with a fully grown Tyrant, one of Umbrella's most powerful bioweapons. Now this should be a huge deal, because according to the established lore, the Spencer Mansion incident in Resident Evil 1 is where the Tyrant is first deployed in the field. But Zero casually drops one in the middle of a city, like it's no big deal. What made the original quite special is that it's set in an isolated mansion, so there would be practically zero, use the pun, practically zero chance of anyone finding out what was happening. And yet here we have a Tyrant loose in the city. According to Resident Evil canon, the T-Virus research was still unstable about this time, so the whole reason the Tyrant in the Spencer Mansion was such a secret project was because it was the first successful combat-ready model.
It's magnificent.
For the sake of this thing.
Yet Resident Evil 0 just tosses in this working Tyrant into the mix without much fanfare. It lets you fight it even more than once. If this model was already active and ready for deployment, it completely undermines the dramatic reveal of the Tyrant in the original Resident Evil. The Spencer Mansion loses its impact if we, the player, and Rebecca in turn, have already battled the prototype. And yet Rebecca never mentions this Tyrant again. Not in Resident Evil 1, not in any later experiences, just like her entire Zero experience, as if Capcom made her lose her mind the moment she walked into the mansion. Whether it was a case of the developers not syncing the timelines, or trying hard to cram iconic moments into the prequel, all they do is create continuity rifts that's hard to ignore. Let's just talk about Enrico for a moment, because his cameo in Resident Evil 0 raises more awkward questions. You run into him near the end of the game. He's already inside the underground Umbrella lab beneath the city. Now remember, this is a secret underground Umbrella lab, which begs the question, how is he not more alarmed by what he's seeing?
Hey, take it easy. We're inside Umbrella's secret lab. I'll go find something to treat that wound.
At the time the facility is still operational, Chief Irons is visiting a month after the Mansion incident. So it begs the question on how the member of STARS was able to access the facility. Where were the security guards? But Enrico seems unrelatively phased. He doesn't demand answers, he doesn't report back to STARS about the facility, and more importantly, doesn't do anything to shut it down. I mean, there's a security room right there. He could easily just report it in. And what's even stranger? Rebecca doesn't fill him in on anything she and Billy have just been through. She's just survived one of Umbrella's most nightmarish test sites, seen a 10-foot scorpion, fought leech mutants and monkeys, and she just tells him, oh, I need to find Billy. That's it.
Come on, let's go.
Wait! I've got to find Billy.
Billy Cohen? You mean you found that criminal?
Yes, but we got separated and...
No point worrying about him. He won't make it. Come on, let's go.
Sir, please. I need to find him. Don't worry, I'll catch up with you.
Rebecca... All right. Just be careful.
So either Enrico's presence is a retcon oversight, or it just implies that STARS were more closer to Umbrella's operation than they originally portrayed, and they just never realised it. Neither explanation really fits cleanly with the canon laid out in Resident Evil 1. In the end, Enrico's scene plays like a weird narrative speed bump. It should have been a pivotal moment, something that helps connect the dots, but instead it just leaves more gaps. I think it was probably shoehorned in so that we get the sad line from Rebecca at the end of the scene.
I never saw him again. Enrico!
Now, I'm not going to go into every plot hole, but whether it was a case of the developers not syncing the timelines or trying too hard to cram iconic elements into a prequel, all of this just creates the continuity rift that's hard to ignore. Yet even with all of that, I still have a fondness for Zero. Maybe it's because it's the last mainline title to have tank controls and fixed camera. It could be that both Rebecca and Billy have a great chemistry, or even just the train setting really sets it apart from other games. One aspect I really do like is that brief moment we go into the city. Yes, I know I've just said it doesn't make sense narratively, but when you played the original Resident Evil 2 and then come to play this, it really makes Raccoon City feel like a real place. You see in the same locations at different times gives you a deeper connection to this world. It works so well with the RPD, having spent so much time on it during Resident Evil 2, to see it then again in Outbreak and Resident Evil 3 really hits you in the nostalgia feels. Still, there is something haunting about the game, something worth remembering. It's beautiful, it's bold, and even if it does stumble narratively, there's far too many animals, monkeys. It really sticks in your mind, like a song, that you just can't quite shake. Resident Evil 0 isn't the prequel we needed. It's probably the one we deserved in 2002, a flawed gem, a creepy experiment. Maybe, just maybe, it's time that you give it another look too. As I said before, it worked really well with Resident Evil's RPD, going back to see the buildings, and probably set it out as one of my favourite locations in the entire franchise. So much so, I actually made a video on it, which you can see on screen now. So go watch that next. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. And I'll see you survivors next time.